Hi everyone, Mary Biancalani here with another self-care video for you. This time we're going to be talking about the hamstrings. So as you can see by this illustration that has magically popped up here by the amazing techniques of digital video, the hamstrings have two very distinct portions that can cause referred sensation. The biceps femoris, which is the lateral segment of the hamstrings, can refer pain downward into the posterior knee and into the lower 2/3 or even lower 3/4 of the lateral portion of the hamstring. The semitendinosus and semimembranosus, or the medial portion of the hamstrings, very often can be found in the uppermost 1/2 or uppermost 1/4 of the hamstrings. And you can see they can cause a very strong referral in the uppermost segment of the medial and posterior medial thigh, and even including into the lower portion of the buttocks. So remember, the hamstrings are going to be attaching at this ischial tuberosity here at the bottom of our very welcome Charlie skeleton illustration. So when we want to get the uppermost portion of the hamstrings, we're going to be using some various self-care tools, including a tennis ball that we could roll over here for me if you get a chance. So first, when we start with the hamstrings, we want to give them a little bit of a warm-up. I'm using a Mother Earth trigger point pillow, and that can be put in the microwave, and that can be used to heat the hamstrings. The Mother Earth pillow also has what they call their flat flax. So either one of these products can be used to heat the hamstring muscles prior to doing your self-care. So you can stay on the heat for 1 minute, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, even while you're seated. It's really nice to apply some heat to those muscles prior to compression. So if you're sitting in a chair or sitting in the car as a passenger, you can certainly use a tennis ball. If I'm going to lean over to the side and I want to get the superior most attachment of the hamstrings, I'm going to find that ischial tuberosity. There I've got the tennis ball applying the compression right at the edge of the ischial tuberosity. If I choose, I can bring more weight by leaning over, applying more weight onto the hamstrings. And if that's not fun enough, you can go ahead and lean forward while you're applying the tennis ball compression. This can be moved all the way down the length of the hamstrings, including even the lateral tendons, which are going to go and attach into the proximal head of the tibia. So remember, we've got we've got the lateral biceps femoris portion, and then we've got the medial. I'm going to lean over semitendinosus and membranosus. I've been able to use the tennis ball on those distal tendons. For a larger or more broad treatment, we certainly can use a foam roller. Here we've got the tiger tail foam roller. And if I want to get one single portion of the hamstrings, I'm going to apply compression starting in an upright posture. And again, same thing. Basic, I can simply keep my posture upright and straight, and or try to lean forward while the foam roller is rolling there. I can lean back, and continue to apply pressure. As you get into the lateral aspect of the hamstrings, probably using a stretch out strap to continue to keep the leg in extension. And again, I want to keep my posture upright, which is going to bring the spinal erectors in play as we lean forward and compress the hamstrings. If I want to do more lateral, biceps femoris, I'm going to lean a little bit more over to the outside edge. If I want to do the medial portion, I'm going to lean over and do the more medial part of the tendinosus membranosus. We also can use a 5-inch treatment ball and or a 7-inch treatment ball. So remember, one of the key features of trigger point pressure release for self-care is to use a less dense or less painful product to apply compression first, and then build your way up to a more dense product. And remember, we want to keep our discomfort at a level of about a below or at a 6 out of 10 on a pain scale of 1 to 10. 10 being excruciating pain where you have to go to the emergency room. We don't want that. So here we go. So now we've got, again, I'm going to keep my posture upright. I can lean forward and or at the same time, if I want to continue stretching the hamstrings through the gastrocsoleus, I'm going to keep the knee straight and dorsiflex the leg as I lean forward, leaning forward. Now you can really see I'm going to keep my torso upright, try to lean forward. So I'm doing trigger point pressure release at the same time as stretching the muscle that I want to apply compression to. That is probably the highest value of compression we can get. If we want a more targeted or more very specific trigger point pressure release, we're going to come into the jackknobber brought to us by the Pressure Positive Company. So the jackknobber is going to afford us the opportunity to find an area-specific region in which we can apply pressure. Let's make sure we can see it. So now we're going to pop up the illustration one more time. So remember, when we're looking for trigger points in the lateral hamstrings, we want to be in the lowermost quarter. And if we're looking for trigger points in the medial semitendinosus membranosus, we want to probably be about halfway to only 1/4 of the way down when we're looking for these trigger points, which you can see illustrated by Travell and Simons. So if I want to find trigger point locations in the biceps fem, I'm going to put my strap on one more time, get that tool in there. And again, I can lean a little bit more sideways, dorsiflex the ankle, try to keep my posture upright, and that really brings the spinal erectors into play. And I can lean and flex the torso forward. So that would be the trigger point pressure release on the stretch for any one of these options. You've got tennis ball, which would probably be the least obtrusive, and then we work our way up into a dense foam roller or even into a dense 5-inch tiger ball or a less dense 5-inch fit ball or even a 7-inch fit ball. Another option for a little more dynamic is going to be to use the tiger tail handheld foam roller. So the idea here is to try to get the hamstrings on a bit of a stretch. So I'm going to keep the knees straight. I'm going to apply, while I have torso flexion here, I'm going to do some foam rolling, not only through the medial, but as well as the lateral or biceps fem. This gives me a real good opportunity to apply pressure from the proximal origin to the distal origin, all the way up and all the way down. Or you can hold and resist and relax. Find a new spot. Resist, relax, and replace. Go to another location and replace. Stretching, as you know, for the hamstrings, super important. Anything that you can do by adding torso flexion, extending the knees, keeping the knees strong while we're stretching down and bringing the legs back up. We can also do, as we do in many yoga poses, we can stretch the hamstrings while we add torso rotation. We can get a little bit more of the adductors and the medial hamstrings in the pyramid pose or a side angle pose. So there's a couple of great helpful self-care tips for you on the hamstring muscles, and we're going to do one more setup which will show you how to use the stretch out strap. Or you know what, I'm just going to do it right here and right now. Dynamically stretching the hamstrings. If your back, taking the back out of the stretch, if your back is hurting you or the spinal erectors won't allow this, we're going to lean back, allow the abdominals to relax, and we're going to be bringing the leg up. We can add a little bit of resistance from the strap. If I put my hand here, I'm going to bend the knee, press the leg down. I'm contracting the hamstrings by pressing in that direction. I'm going to hold this 10 or 12 seconds. Big breath in. Exhale, straighten, lock the back of the knee, and bring this further up. So the key is to let the hip flexors be relaxed, let the psoas be relaxed in here, and we can bend, push. So now I'm adding knee flexion and hip extension. Big breath in, straighten, relax, and use the arm to pull the leg further up. So there's the stretch and the self-care compression for the hamstrings, brought to you by Mary Biancalana and Charlie and the Chicago Center for Myofascial Pain Relief.